The last element to the kettlebell swing lines is linking them together, putting pieces together. So that might start with something like outside to inside, outside to inside. That might be outside to inside, outside, turn that around, outside to inside, outside to inside. Learning how to be comfortable stepping, making rotations, so in different directions. Just stepping and rotating onto itself is its own change, but allowing yourself to use the float portion of the swing to do something else. So here I'm stepping forward. I'm just doing two outside to outside. And notice how I'm stepping and changing my stance. Stepping and changing my stance. I used a little rotation just to turn to face the camera. Going back and forth. Going from behind the back to back and front. Straight swing, behind the back. So now, and of course, linking these can also be doing one and then throwing a snatch or a clean. Beginning to link things together. Just take two elements and link them together. Don't start trying to just completely freestyle everything. You can build up your own form or sequence of movements, but build it up over time. Don't just start willy-nilly throwing stuff around and hoping for the best. Make a little plan for yourself. The more you do it, the more you're going to be able to feel comfortable ad-libbing a little bit, but don't make that your goal off the start. First, break down the pieces, get the elements, and then begin to link them together before you start to just play with everything all at once. Play too early, and you can kind of just get lost in the weeds. There are three patterns that I think, I'm sorry, not three. There are 5 patterns that I have that I think are really good at teaching some of these concepts. They also come from different weight swinging traditions. A couple of them anyway, a couple of them are of my own design. But they start with the M swing. And I started that a little bit as I was demonstrating. But the M swing is I'm making a shape from outside to inside, switching hands to outside, inside, switching hands. So if we had a camera above me, it's an M because that's the shape I'm tracing with the weight. So M swing. From the side, M swing, outside, inside, switch hands, outside, inside, switch hands, outside, inside. And I make all my steps and changes while the bell is floating. I don't try to do that when I'm engaged with the weight. When the weight disengages, I time my steps and my shifts with the float portion. So that's the M. The M then progresses, becomes a little more circular, to what I call the heart swing. And this one is similar, except I'm going to go behind the back to center, behind the back to center, behind the back, center, and again from the side, behind the back, center, behind the back, center. Notice how I go from standing tall and using my body shift to counterbalance to using my hinge to counterbalance when I go back between my legs. So I'm flowing between using the hinge and using shifting of the weight. Remember, with counterbalancing, you're shifting away from the weight. You're not going with the weight. So that can be hard to learn. It feels like you should go, when the bell goes over here, you go over here. But that's not what you want to do. You want to go opposite. Opposite. That's how you counterbalance, and that's how you make it flow. You're not trying to put a lot of force into the bell. You're trying to control the momentum of the bell. So M swing and heart swing related. One is more linear and one is more circular. The next one, discus swing, takes that same element from behind the back, but I'm going to come all the way around. So to start, I'll just do this square behind the back to behind the back. I make the hand switch in front of me. But ultimately, I like to see this one get from an outside the leg swing, generate force, catch it midair, and then slow it down outside the leg swing. And here's where it starts to look more like its name of generating force and then coming around. I'm trying to keep my center tall, and I'm rotating my trunk with maintaining my line. That's the discus swing. The next two, the 10 and 2 and the 360, come from the meal or the heavy club lifting traditions. They're the two primary lifts. Kettlebells work just as well for creating the movement and loading the movement as those. So the 10 and 2 means the clock arms. So you're going to go from one side, it's going to scoop down and then come to the other side. What it'll look like, I'm going to do this with two hands, is I'm going to bring it up to one shoulder and I can just rest it there for a moment and then swing it across to the other shoulder. Here my hip is going to follow along. But again, my movement is much more about controlling the weight. And even though my hip is turning over, I'm still sitting away from the weight as it comes away. So notice how I don't swing it down at my knees, I swing it out and away from myself. Abs stays very strong, lats stay engaged. So I keep my feet connected to my fingers all the way through here. And that's 10 and 2, creating that scoop and catch, scoop and catch. And the last one, the 360 loop, we're going to make a big 360 degree stop our momentum and then have to start it back up. So we'll have to stop and start. This one will take a little more force generation. I'm holding the bell by the horns. That was the same for the 10 and 2. So I'm not holding it this way, bringing myself a little bit closer to the center of mass with this hold as well. But here I'm going to reach out to one side, and then I'm going to come, I can do this make this very small to start. So I'm drawing a circle out to one side, drawing a circle out to one side. As I get comfortable, I can start generating more force and throwing the bell around a little bit more. Turn to the side again. My trunk stays strong, my spine stays long. I'm connecting my feet to my fingers. There's a moment of release when I'm not quite as tense, but I load up a lot of tension down in the bottom to decelerate it and then re-accelerate it in the other direction. That's a 360 loop. Learning all these will give you plenty of ammunition to try out and be creative with other with other examples. But enjoy all those swing lines. Some wonderful athletic movement within them. And I'll be excited to help you find it.